So while everyone was focused on national gun control bills that have been introduced, sweeping gun control legislation just passed in the state of New York to include a ban on body armor sales, a bill increasing the purchase age to 21, microstamping requirements, and a purchase permit for individuals to purchase things like AR-15s. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think we don't need more gun control, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also, I want to thank one of the main sponsors of this channel, which is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense liability protection. So if you carry a firearm, I highly recommend you take a look into USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. Also, I want to mention that you can now pick up channel merch if you're interested. You can pick up this shirt that I have on right here, this Liberty or Death shirt, and then there are 2 other designs. So if you're interested and you want to support the channel, you can pick up one of these shirts using the link down below. So I guess in the intro, a lot of focus has been on the national gun control bills and measures that have been introduced into Congress. Well, while a lot of focus has been at the national level, a sweeping gun control package just passed in the state of New York. This package does so many absolutely horrible things for those residents in the state of New York. It bans the purchase or sale of body armor. It requires residents to get a permit to purchase a semi-automatic rifle. It requires microstamping for new handguns. It raises the age to purchase a semi-automatic rifle to the age of 21. And it also does things like strengthen the red flag provisions in the state of New York. So let's take a look at some of these bills that passed in the state of New York and are now on the governor's desk to be signed. First, let's talk about the body armor ban. The body armor ban that passed is S-9407, and this body armor ban was introduced by Timothy Kennedy. This bill states that a person is guilty of the unlawful purchase of a body vest when not being engaged or employed in an eligible profession. They knowingly purchase or take possession of a body vest. So this bill is an outright ban on body armor pretty much going forward as far as the sale and purchase within the state of New York. It really is more focused on the aspect of sale of body armor within the state. It makes it illegal for anyone to sell body armor to normal citizens, while it also exempts law enforcement officers or other qualifying individuals. Under the bill, the law takes effect after 13 days. So after this bill is signed into law, 13 days after that, it'll be illegal for anyone to sell to any other normal individual some sort of body armor within the state of New York, unless that individual is a qualifying person or exempt person like law enforcement. Now, this version of the body armor ban that passed appears to be a little bit different from the original version that was introduced because, as I recall, the original version also required the forfeiture of currently possessed body armor. The original text made all possession illegal and did not contemplate grandfathering in already possessed body armor. This version that did pass and that's going forward to the governor to be signed is only a future sale prohibition within the state of New York. So there may also be an avenue for out-of-state purchase of body armor, but like I said, this version is a little bit different. It's not as restrictive, but it's still a ban on the sale of body armor when this takes effect. The next major gun control bill that passed in New York was S-9458. This bill establishes a permit to purchase or take possession of semi-automatic rifles. That's absolutely right. The state of New York just passed a law that will require a permit to purchase rifles like AR-15s and AKs. The new law states a license for a semi-automatic rifle other than an assault weapon or disguised gun shall be issued to purchase or take possession of such a firearm when such transfer of ownership occurs on or after the effective date. Applications shall be made and renewed in the case of a license to carry or possess a pistol or revolver, or to purchase or take possession of a semi-automatic rifle to the licensing officer in the city or county, as the case may be, where the applicant resides or where they're principally employed. So it appears that the purchasing permit for semi-automatic rifles will follow the same scheme for concealed carry permitting and handgun permitting within the state of New York. Again, it's going to be a permit for you to actually purchase a semi-automatic rifle like an AR-15 or an AK going forward. Now, this law will go into effect in 19 days after it's signed into law. And one important thing to note is that it will only apply to the purchase or transfer of rifles made after the law goes into effect. So again, another time-sensitive purchase restriction that's going to take effect 19 days after it's signed into law. And after it goes into effect, you will need a permit to purchase something like an AR-15. Now, along with the bills that passed for body armor bans and a purchase permit for things like AR-15s, the state also raised the purchase requirement for semi-automatic rifles to the age of 21. This flies directly against the recent ruling in the Ninth Circuit in the Jones v. Bonta case. In that case, the Ninth Circuit struck down the state of California's ban on 18 to 20-year-olds from purchasing things like semi-automatic centerfire rifles like AR-15s. The Ninth Circuit found that under the text, history, and tradition of the Second Amendment, 18 to 20-year-olds have a right to keep those arms, to purchase those arms, to bear those arms. And that type of right and the right protected in the Second Amendment would not exist without those 18 to 20-year-olds actually having access to those arms and bearing those arms. But of course, the state of New York doesn't care about that ultimate decision. And ultimately, they're not bound by the Ninth Circuit's precedent. So they decided to try their own hand at an 18 to 20-year-old purchase restriction. And that's exactly what they did with this bill. The last bill I want to talk about in this video is S7226, which is the microstamping bill that passed in the state of New York. This bill requires semi-automatic pistols manufactured or delivered to any licensed dealer in the state of New York to be capable of microstamping ammunition. It also establishes fines for violations of the microstamping requirements. Under this bill, microstamping means a component or mechanism of such pistol designed and intended to produce a unique alphanumeric or geometric code on an expended cartridge that identifies the make, model, and serial number of the pistol. Under this bill, for any manufacturer or wholesale dealer to sell a pistol within the state of New York or to bring those pistols for sale within the state of New York, they must meet this microstamping requirement. Now, as many of us know, and for those of us in the state of California know, we know that microstamping is a technology that isn't widely available. It is also not effective to the degree that is promoted by these leftist individuals in these bills. And oftentimes manufacturers simply choose not to sell firearms in the state, and they just decide they're not going to deal with that at all. It's too expensive. It's not possible. So they decide we're just not going to sell our products within that state. So all this microstamping law will do and will ultimately lead to is less access to handguns within a specific state because these manufacturers decide it's just not worth selling these handguns within the state. Now, another thing within this bill is it talks about some of the timing requirements for this and when it's possible or when it's feasible for these manufacturers to do this. And there's like a 1-year requirement and then like a 3-year requirement. So it's not something that's going to take effect immediately. It's kind of going to be on the manufacturers when it becomes feasible for them to do this, but it's something to keep in mind because eventually with this law in the books, it will lead to maybe less products, less handguns available on the market. Now, there were a lot of other gun control measures and bills that passed along with the ones I just mentioned. The state of New York also officially banned firearms called others. Often others were used to get around the various state bans on so-called assault weapons. For example, the state of California, there was a ban on so-called assault weapons, but for a period of time, people would configure their firearms in a way that were not legally definable as a rifle, pistol, or shotgun, but instead were classified as others. And ultimately that was blocked by the state of California when they amended their laws, and they amended their laws to include the Title I and others into the classification of so-called assault weapons, therefore closing that kind of definable loophole that was there in the language. And here the state of New York is just simply doing the same thing by adding others into that classification. New York also passed a bill that enhanced their red flag laws by allowing a court to issue an extreme risk protection order or red flag, prohibiting a person from purchasing or possessing a firearm for up to 1 year. So, like I said, there was a lot of gun control bills that passed in the state of New York. These are some of the main ones that came to my attention that I wanted to let you guys know about. So, as you can see, the state of New York is taking another broad stroke at gun control. This is a state level attack on our right to keep and bear arms. And once again, it's just a massive infringement. And I really wanted to bring this to your attention because I know I do have a lot of followers in the state of New York, and a lot of you guys were asking me to cover this. So I just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention because we do not need to focus just on the national level. There are a lot of things going on also at the state level. And like we just saw, a ton of gun control was passed in the state of New York. Now, what can you do from here? Well, I know there are some local organizations that are getting together to do some sort of rally in the state of New York. So I would keep an eye on your local orgs, join your local orgs, and just help support them fight against these bills. And again, there's going to probably be some cases that pop up. I would expect organizations like FPC, GOA, and maybe other local orgs like the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association to file some lawsuits against the state of New York. So keep your eyes on that. They're likely going to be looking for plaintiffs. So if you're interested and you want to join the fight, that's always a great way to do that, is to become a plaintiff in one of these lawsuits. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Algore's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. Again, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate and make people aware of all these infringements that are going on more than I could ever do on my own. So again, thank you so much for all of your support. And also, once again, if you're interested, you can pick up channel merch like this one using the link down below. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation is built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.